Disney and the future of the Star Wars franchise, despite the fan backlash, seemed to be a safe bet for movies every year from now until the end of time. But recent events seem to indicate that now Disney is reassessing their approach to the property in quite a deep way. One might say they are openly confirming they took the wrong road, a failure if you will. In today's editorial, I will be exploring Star Wars as a product under Disney and how it's been received. Also exploring certain key moments and comments made by the higher-ups that could almost be representative of Disney burying their heads in the sand until now, where it would seem that they have finally realised they cannot continue down the path they have been following. If you enjoyed today's editorial, please do hit subscribe for more deep dive content in future. If you like what I do here on this channel and want to support it further, consider checking out my Patreon page in the link down below for exclusive access to content and to help me produce the very best in sci-fi and horror editorials. Star Wars Celebration commenced just a few days ago. Interestingly enough, this year's celebration appeared to have little to no build-up online from the general audience and fandom, and it was only at the time of the event itself that there was some hype and build-up. And this is something that Disney has apparently recognised themselves, which is indicative of the comments made by Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, at the event itself. Speaking with Bloomberg, Bob Iger stated that Star Wars was going to be taking a break, a hiatus, which was a direct response to a question from the interviewer about being concerned about Star Wars fatigue. Bob Iger responded by saying, "No, not at all. We have not announced any specific plans for movies thereafter. There are movies in development, but we have not announced them. We will take a pause, some time, and reset, because the Skywalker saga comes to an end with this 9th movie. There will be other Star Wars movies, but there will be a bit of a hiatus." However, there is more to this statement than meets the eye. Though on the surface, Bob Iger refutes the fear of Star Wars fatigue, his words now contradict previous statements, and his actions of pausing all movie releases again reflects Disney reassessing the Star Wars brand as a profitable venture. The current economic climate of Star Wars and Disney is on a downward spiral. Now, this is not some tinfoil hat, smoke and mirrors conspiracy, it is factual. Star Wars merchandise sales have been on a decline now for the last 2 years. This is a major development and major blow to a franchise that historically made incredible profits from toy sales. In fact, Star Wars essentially created the film merchandising model to that degree anyway. So for Star Wars toy sales to not experience growth, to not even hold steady, and to experience a fall in sales for 2 consecutive years, this is something Disney would take notice of. Not only that, but let's take a look at Solo: A Star Wars Story and The Last Jedi. Solo: A Star Wars Story was the lowest grossing Star Wars film in 40 years. Couple that with the incredibly troubled production and inflated budget it is rumoured to have had, it's little surprise that Disney would consider it a huge failure. And it was from here that we begun to see the thread unravel from Disney's tapestry of plans. This is when sources close to Disney began to confirm that all spin-off movies were now put on hold. Behind closed doors, Disney were worried. But on the surface, Disney was saving face. Kathleen Kennedy's contract was renewed, with Bob Iger on the surface instilling more faith and confidence in the head of Lucasfilm. Despite fan backlash to not only Solo: A Star Wars Story, but Rian Johnson and The Last Jedi. The internet will have you believe that it was all just trolling and absolutely unequivocally couldn't have been fair critique and judgment from fans. But whatever you choose to believe, The Last Jedi most definitely caused a stir, a controversy that Disney would have taken notice of. This was undoubtedly a business tactic from Disney. They couldn't be seen to be bowing under pressure from fans and audiences, but behind closed doors, they were clearly reassessing the franchise. Now, why do I say this? Well, we only need to take a look at everything that was rumoured to be in development, what actors were signed on to certain projects, and now what is happening. Emilia Clarke, star of Solo: A Star Wars Story, has confirmed that she was contracted to a multiple picture deal, indicating that Disney had hopes to do many sequels with that particular storyline. However, that is now dead in the water. The long rumoured ObiWan Kenobi film The would-be star Ewan McGregor has been very coy about his involvement in this project, and this is something that has been long rumoured, but the rumours are founded and based in fact, and comments from actors and crew that would have been working on certain projects that are now cancelled. Boba Fett, something fans have been crying out for years. A movie that seemed to be confirmed, and yet a project we apparently will never get to see now, as those ideas seem to have been developed and reworked into a less costly streaming service for Disney+. Now this is all again indications of Disney slowly but surely reassessing things behind the scenes. On the surface, Disney has had to maintain a face of strength and confidence in their product, but with each subtle step and reveal, and the final comments made by Bob Iger about the hiatus, we can now see that Disney is finally admitting defeat and failure over the Star Wars brand. I started this editorial with Bob Iger's recent comments from a question about Star Wars fatigue. Bob Iger refuted these, but I stated that his actions seemingly contradicted previous statements, which is true. Bob Iger is a businessman. He is also the CEO of Disney who owns not only Star Wars, but Marvel. Star Wars has released 4 movies in 4 years, and Marvel has released multiple movies per year, 4 years. Bob Iger's comments about taking a hiatus is not indicative of him being aware of Star Wars fatigue, or, in fact, fearing fatigue of the brand, but it is indicative of him becoming acutely aware of how the movies have been received. If Marvel has not experienced as much backlash, but has broken the records that Star Wars has previously set, it is not much of a stretch to say that the Marvel movies now have an equal audience and fandom to that of the Star Wars fanbase. The difference though, Marvel fans are receiving a product that they are enjoying more. It is my firm belief that Bob Iger's comments about taking a hiatus stem from the awareness that they need more of a handle on the Star Wars franchise. As a business, they will look at their model and assess why one is successful and why one is not. Marvel is successful because they have a clear vision, an overarching connection between each movie. They have a plan, which of course creates continuity, an engaging and very clear narrative that people can follow. It meets the expectations of the fans with respect to the stories at play, and it also exceeds those expectations by throwing new things into the mix that then build off the former story points. Star Wars does not do this. It's long been known, because of comments made by Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams, that there is no clear story outlined for this saga. There is no overarching narrative, which is why when J.J. Abrams set up all these elements in The Force Awakens, they were not paid off in The Last Jedi. Now this is not inherently a bad thing. However, it becomes a problem when the audience has certain expectations, and when those expectations are not met in any way, shape or form, you risk losing your audience's engagement, which is what has happened. It's all well and good attempting to subvert expectations, and I, myself, am a fan of this. However, it's very clear that the wider audience would appreciate, and does appreciate, per Marvel movies, a very clear narrative and their expectations for this narrative being met. So what will Disney do moving forwards? Well, we have Rian Johnson's trilogy. We also have another trilogy from Game of Thrones showrunners. It's my belief that for these sagas to be successful, someone will be appointed within Disney and Lucasfilm to oversee these, properly crafting a clear narrative. The hiatus is absolutely a clear indication of Bob Iger being acutely aware that the Lucasfilm part of the Disney business is failing. The numbers speak for themselves, and the incredibly lucrative merchandising sales are again worrying for Disney. Disney have, without admitting it, admitted defeat. Admitted their failure of the Lucasfilm and Star Wars brand. From here, don't be surprised if we see major shakeups at Lucasfilm. As always though, please do drop all your thoughts down below, and if you enjoyed today's video, please do subscribe for more deep dives in the world of pop culture and movie news. As always guys, thank you so much for watching. I've been Mr. Age. Take care.